Something big is brewing in Los Angeles, and the urgency surrounding it could not be higher. Behind the smiles of training camp and the excitement for a new season, a storm is forming that may completely change the direction of the franchise. What seemed impossible just weeks ago is suddenly on the table, fueled by a shocking injury in another city that has opened a door no one expected. At the center of all this is a player who went from being undrafted to becoming one of the most valuable assets in the NBA today. A player who is not only climbing league rankings, but also catching the eyes of rivals desperate to strike a deal. The question now is simple but dramatic. Will the Lakers hold tight to their rising star, or will pressure from the market force the front office to make a move that could reshape the roster overnight? Stay tuned, because this story is just beginning, and before we dive deeper, don't forget to hit that like button and drop a "Lake" in the comments to show your support for the purple and gold. Austin Reaves. Los Angeles has resisted calls to move him, but the dynamics have shifted. If their stance changes, Houston could emerge as the most aggressive team in pursuit, because their situation has turned into a mixture of urgency and opportunity. This isn't just speculation, it's the kind of scenario where both sides could solve problems while changing the balance of power in the Western Conference. Reaves' profile makes him an attractive fit for Houston's needs. Last season, the Rockets finished 5th in defensive rating and bolstered their offense by adding Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. What they lack now is a skilled creator who can balance the offense and provide consistent production in VanVleet's absence. Reaves, at 27, has shown steady improvement across his 4 NBA seasons, reaching career-best numbers in scoring, distributing, and playmaking. Houston could plug him directly into their lineup and create versatile rotations where nearly every player stands at least 6 feet 5 inches and has the ability to initiate offense. The Rockets would essentially be turning a devastating loss into an opportunity by securing a player who complements their current build. For the Lakers, however, this scenario would only make sense if the return package delivered players who filled pressing needs. Trading away Reaves would not be an easy decision, but if the Lakers are forced to listen, Houston's depth at forward positions makes them an intriguing partner. The Rockets' roster is overloaded with talent at the forward spots. With Durant, Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jabari Smith Jr., and Amen Thompson all competing for minutes, something has to give. Durant is clearly untouchable. Thompson represents their long-term backcourt future, and Finney-Smith, at 32, doesn't fit the Lakers' timeline for a player in exchange for Reaves. That narrows the conversation down to Eason and Smith. Eason, just 24, is a defensive specialist with the versatility to guard multiple positions while contributing as a rebounder and secondary scorer. Despite injury setbacks that kept him out of significant portions of the last 2 seasons, his potential and impact are undeniable. Smith, on the other hand, offers even more upside. At 22 and standing 6 feet 10 inches, the former top 3 draft pick has flashed two-way potential as a hybrid forward capable of stretching the floor offensively while guarding multiple positions. His averages of 12.2 points and 7.0 rebounds last season highlight his progression, and he may represent the type of high-ceiling swing that the Lakers could prioritize in a blockbuster deal. Financially, any deal would be complex. Reaves is set to earn close to $14 million, while Smith's salary surpasses $23 million. The Lakers might need to include Jared Vanderbilt's contract to balance the numbers, while an Eason-focused deal would require Houston to attach additional contracts. But Houston's desperation works in Los Angeles' favor. They could leverage that urgency to not only secure a young forward, but also demand additional assets, perhaps even exploring the possibility of adding promising rookie guard Reed Sheppard to sweeten the return. Steals per game last season, shooting 46% from the field and 37.7% from three-point range. Even more impressive, he put up these numbers as the 3rd scoring option, first behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and later adjusting to Luka Doncic's arrival. Among the league's elite, Only 20 players managed to average at least 20 points and 5 assists last season, and Reeves did so without being the first or second option. That efficiency in a complementary role underscores his unique value in today's NBA. Yet, the ranking also exposed the question marks that still surround him. Analysts highlighted his defensive shortcomings as the reason he remains outside the top 50. In a league that prioritizes two-way dominance, his offense wasn't enough to completely silence doubts. Still, the leap from 72 to 60 is significant, and it validates the gamble Reeves made by rejecting a 4-year, $90 million extension in June. By betting on himself, he is now positioned to potentially command a contract well north of $100 million in free agency next summer. This looming financial decision puts additional pressure on the Lakers. Publicly, the franchise remains committed, with Governor Jeannie Buss praising him earlier this year, saying, "He continues to prove himself over and over. We're lucky to have him privately, however the front office must weigh whether they can afford him long-term, especially with Doncic now established as the primary ball handler." This is where the conversation takes another turn, as even respected former Lakers have voiced opinions on the matter. Robert Horry, a 7-time champion and someone who understands the weight of championship expectations, recently suggested on his podcast that the Lakers should consider trading Reeves before it's too late. His reasoning was blunt. With Reeves approaching unrestricted free agency, his trade value will never be higher. If the Lakers wait and lose him for nothing next summer, they would have squandered a major fans. With another team's injury opening the door for a massive trade opportunity, and with one of the Lakers' most valuable young players being the centerpiece of these talks, should the front office risk shaking the roster to land another star? Or is it smarter to hold on and bet on the current core? Write your opinion in the comments. Kurti and Diksha Laker to show your support for the Purple.